Welcome to Student Nurse Offshore TV. Hello everyone and welcome to Student Nurse Offshore TV. I am happy to have you here. This channel was created to help students, healthcare professionals and anyone who interested in health sciences learn through the simple, accurate and practical explanations. Our journey begins today with one of the most important topics in biology, which is called the cellular biology. Because every tissue, organs, and body system start with the cell. By understanding the cell, we'll build a strong foundation of understanding the entire human body and many diseases. In the coming video, we will cover a wide range of health sciences topics that including them. Firstly is cellular biology, as we are going to see. The second is human anatomy and physiology. We'll also study about the pathophysiology, we'll study about the pharmacology, also we'll study about the medical surgical nursing will be so included. So we'll also study about the maternal and child health. We'll also study about the community health nursing as the most. We'll also study about the microbiology, which include in the BLS. We will also study about the clinical skills. We will also study about any or other topics that relate to the health sciences. Our goals is to make learning easy, clear, and more enjoyable for everyone, whether you are a nursing student or medical student, or another healthcare student or healthcare provider, or simply someone who loves learning about the human body. Since this is our first video, your support means everything to us. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it to your friends and your classmates or other healthcare provider or other ones who loves to study or to understand the human health and health sciences, and leave a comment telling us what topics you would like to tell us to cover and how we can improve our content. Together, let's build a community where we learn, grow, and improve our knowledge of the health sciences. So, without delay, let's begin our journey with cellular biology. So, cellular biology, as you understand, it contains different combination of the word which is called, there is a cellular, the first one comes from the cell, and there is a biology which is combined with the bios and logos. By explaining this term by etymologically, so this cellular biology, it comes from two Greeks or from two words. The first, there is a cellular, which driven from the Latin word meaning a small room or small compartment or little chambers, which contain the, or which is called the basic structure and functional unit of living organisms. So, for the term called biology, biology also, as we know, the bios means the logos. There is the bios, which means the life, and there is logos means the study. So, those combination of biology means is a science that study of life. So, by continue, there is cellular biology is the branches of the biology that study about the cell structure, functions, growth, reproduction, and interaction the cell with the fundamental unit of life. So means this is the branches of the biology that is going to study about the cells, its function, its works, it's important in the human body in order to make a body life. Means if the body does not have cells working clear or useful, the body becomes deaf or become to having many diseases. So this is there in the cell, there is many different cells which found in the body. So in these many different cells found in the body, there is a communication between them. So those communication between the different cells in the body in order to perform the huge function, it is what we call cell close stack. Means it starts from the uh, communication, which is the transmission of the information. This transmission information, they become interpreted, and this become interpreted become the providing the response of the different part of the body. So this is the communication of the cell, which is called the close or cellular close stack. So other ones, the main cellular must demonstrate what we call chemical fondness for other cells and the environment to maintain the integrity of entire organs. So the body cells, they have to show the chemical fondness. Means what? They have to react. They have a tendency to react with the other cells. So the cells cannot work lonely. It needs to react or to have their chemical reaction between them in order to perform the huge function of the cell in the body. When the cell felt fondness, their organism or body, it become vulnerable illness or injury that may lead to the body death. So in these cells, they have the classification. They have classification. There are two classes of the cells. There is the first we call eukaryotes and the other we call the prokaryotes. High animals and plants, they are having eukaryotes, while others uh, cyanobacteria, like blue or green algae, they have a prokaryotes. So most of the plants and animals, they are likely to have eukaryotes, but when we talk about the eukaryotes, they are composed of the two words. The first means a means good, and karyon means nucleus. So means the eukaryotes, they have large, they have nucleus, which is true. They have the true nucleus, but in the prokaryote, they have no distinct true nucleus. That's why they are different. So in eukaryote characteristics, they have a set of the membranes bound intracellular compartment called organelles. Includes well-defined nucleus. Means what? In the characteristics of the eukaryotes, they have the membrane that cover the different organelles found inside of that membranes. And one most about the organelles, they are nucleus. The nucleus also they found inside of the cell membrane. It is not only of the nucleus, there is other like mitochondria, there is a Golgi apparatus, there is a different organelles, the lysosomes, there is different organelles that found inside the membrane. So this about them, where the prokaryotes contain, there is no organelles there. The nuclear material is not enclosed by the membrane's nuclear, or they are not enclosed by nuclear membrane, and they have no distinctive of nucleus, as I said before. Means their prokaryote, they have no any organelles inside of their membranes, and also they is not enclosed by the nuclear membranes. That's why they have no definite the nucleus. So the eukaryotes and the prokaryote cell, they have the different chemical composition and biochemical activities. Of course, they have the difference. Their components, as they are, as we said that they in eukaryotes there is organelles, while prokaryote they have no organelles. So they have to be their different chemical compositions. So the nuclear prokaryote cell carry out the genetic information in single circular chromosomes, and their lack of the class of proteins called histones. Those are talking about the prokaryotic. They carry out genetic information in single circular chromosomes because they have no a protein which is called histones. So, but In eukaryotes, the cell bind with the DNA and involve the supercoiling of the DNA that are important for many diseases. Eukaryotic, they have the several chromosomes, protein production in two classes. Also, those protein product they are differ because of the major structure differences in RNA protein complexes. Difference mechanism transport across the outer cell membrane and difference of the enzyme content. Means what? For this, eukaryotic, they bind to DNA and also they contain those histone proteins, but those histone proteins also they are different according to their structures. So they also these are the difference between eukaryotes and prokaryotes. So in this, we studied about the class out of the cell which is eukaryote and prokaryotes, and first the difference they have to see there is in eukaryote there is a true defined nucleus, and prokaryote they have no true or distinct nucleus there. That's why there are difference, and also the genetic materials it move the difference. As firstly we saw their genetic information in prokaryotes, they are in single circular chromosomes, while in eukaryotes these cells they bind to DNA and they involve the supercoiling of the DNA and are important in many diseases. So this is the first difference or description about the classes of the cell. So by going of the beyond, the second one is to see the functioning of the cell. The cell, as we see, it is the unit of life. Is the unit of the basic unit of the life. The first, they have at least 8 chief importance of the cell, the most 8 important of the cell. So just let me talk about the 8 chief of the cellular functions. So there is 8 chief of the cellular functions. The first is movement. Cell, it facilitates movement through generating the forces and produce motion due in the skeletal muscles. So the muscles that are attached to the bones, they produce limbs for movement, whereas those enclosed hollow tube or cavities moves or empty content when become contraction. So when the muscles become contracted, this facilitate the movement. That contraction is made by the cell. And for example, in the smooth muscles, so in the smooth muscles, the contraction of the cell of the smooth muscles, it helps the urinary tract to expel down or express out of the urine through how it works. So this it depends for smooth muscle contraction and changes the diameter of the bladder that expels out the urine through in the urethra, and those urine becomes outside. So how it works? The firstly, there is refilling of the bladder uh, of the bladder, yes, the accumulation of the urine from the urethra to the bladder. If the accumulation of the urine reaches to the bladder, it activates the stretching or stretch receptor of the bladder. Those receptors of the bladder are deactivated. It causes the detrusor muscle of the bladder to contract under the parasympathetic response. So this the bladder contraction of the muscles, it caused to reduce the diameter of the bladder and increase of the pressure inside of the bladder. These cause the internal sphincters to relaxes. This cause the expels of the urine out of the urethra. So that's how the cells cause smooth muscles and skeletal muscles for movement of the different things out of the inside of the body. Yes. For the second one, it is the conduction or conductivity. The other function of the cellular is conductivity. We know in the cellular or the cell contain the cell membrane. So this cell membrane is where the exchange of the ions, the potassium, the sodium during electrical impulses. So this along with the changing of the different ions, sodium, potassium inside and out of the cell, it facilitates the conductivity or conduction of the nerves or nerve system. So other one, there is what we call metabolic absorption. Metabolic absorption, it is also the other function that made by the cell. Means what? For example, when there is the tissues found in the small intestine, they absorb the nutrients inside of the body. Those process it is just made by the cell because those tissues it is made by the cell. So that's how the cell head for absorption of the nutrients. You know, the absorption of the nutrients in the small in the GIT, it takes place in the small intestine. So the other one, those are the main absorption of the small intestine. These are the first example. The second one, function of the the cells, there is what we call secretions. So the cell, it helps for synthesizing of the different substances needed by the body. Those cells synthesized, they packed it into the Golgi apparatus as the organelles of the cell, and Golgi apparatus, they transport those synthesized of the nutrients to the cell membrane. Those cell membrane, they released out of the cell to help the body function. That's how the body cells they secrete. For example, the release of the insulin from the pancreatic beta cells. Those are the first function or first example of the secretion of the cell. The other function of the cellular, there is what we call excretion. So the body cells, they contain what we call lysosome that break down the substance and expels out of the waste product. So in order to make a new cells which is strongly functioning in the body. So that's how they excrete the substance inside of the cell to outside of the cell. Other one, there is what we call respirations. Respirations, the cells, they make those they use oxygen and produce out of the carbon dioxide and their energy. Those function is just made by the mitochondria found in the cell. That's why the cell have importance in respiration. Another one is what we call reproduction. So the cell help for growth, repair, and strong repairing and production of the different cells in the body. So that's why the body they will mature and grow due to the cell growth and repairing. So the last one is the communication. In the communication, the cells they work under communicating other ones because if the cell they don't communicate, they lose the integrity of working that made the body to work in unfavorable condition. This led the body to go in vulnerable or injury or illness. That's why those communication they under the working of the cell, they also made by the cell. So this is the first video for about the cellular biology. The later we are coming to talk about the different organelles or different components of the cell. After understanding this content of cellular biology, this was an introduction. So firstly, go in a comment section and write what do you like and tell us where we can improve in order to make a clear and context which is validated and accurate and consistent. So for this an introduction. So thank you for watching. We appreciate you. Please stay here. We are going to provide other content that talk about the difference part of the cell and its function in the body. So by understanding it, those function is, you will go to see how the cell they are structured each other and make the body to be having the good structure as you see. So thank you. We are really appreciating you for being here. This is just prepared by the Student Nurse Official TV with the one you call Katemutanrik. For me, I am fresh and clean. See you later. Remember that this content prepared from the pathophysiology in basic biology for adults and children. Make sure that you make a subscription and make a comment and share, even like it. Thank you again.